So we're going to go over to YouTube.
And we are live.
It's meeting is now streaming live. I love it. All right, let me just go. I want to just go check. Oh, hold on. I got to do gallery view. I want to go check over there on the YouTube.
On the YouTubes. On the tubes.
Yay! Okay, so I'm muting that because it will keep me like, okay. Yay. Hi, everyone. Yay. Every day I do this. I'm like, I love technology problems. I love them. I don't, but we just get to roll with it.
As our friend Lisa Kostova would say, and your karmic stretch probably has to do with technology.
I'm sure it does. It has to do with a lot of things, actually. I have a couple of those. And oh my gosh, how great is this? This morning, my phone, which just drives me nuts, like you wake up and your phone like doesn't work, like couldn't make calls. And I'm like calling my sister. I'm like, your phone's not working. None of my texts are going through. And I have a client call at 10 and she can't reach me. So I go to my husband. I'm like, my phone's not working. He goes, classic. Have you restarted it? I was like, I haven't restarted it. No, yeah, restarted. It's all fine. All right, let's get to it because I want to introduce you to those people watching. Hello, welcome to Soul, Wit, and Wisdom. I'm Kristen Lena, and I have to tell you about my amazeballs friend, Maria Aleandra. And I really work hard to say her name because I love her and respect her, and that is how you say her name. So I want to tell you about her, and then we'll get started with our chat. So she is a coach, a content creator, and a strategic sorceress and podcast host who helps visionary women go from I wish to I am. Through a combination of strategic and intuitive coaching, she guides her clients, women, into aligning with your purpose, living authentically, and activating your life path. She believes that the key to thriving is honoring and integrating your inner drive with your divine wisdom. Okay, so every time I introduce one of my amazing friends, colleague speakers, I'm like, oh my gosh, I know some really amazing people.
I know her.
I know her. She's so cool. So Maria Aleandra, thank you for being here. Awesome that you're here. And talk about what that bio means. Because I think it's profound, because I may have to steal a couple of lines from it, because I feel, and you and I know this, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
Very aligned, very much in sync with what we do and how we work. So talk about how you got here, like how you got to be doing what you're doing.
Juicy question. Thank you for having me. I love this series. I love you. I love the name. Soul, Wit, and Wisdom.
Right?
Like what? Like that is you? Like
I know.
That's you. You know that, right?
It's so me.
It's so you.
It's so me.
With like an F word tied to it.
I'm gonna drop an F-bomb.
Like there's gotta be an F-bomb attached to the name.
Trust
Soul,
me.
Wit, and effing wisdom. Something like that.
I will tell you offline. I'll tell you offline, or maybe it'll come up later. A URL that I have purchased. It's called the Fuck Yes Life. Just saying. I'm just saying. But that may be for another time.
This woman.
Right now, it's Soul, Wit, and Wisdom, and we're just gonna dive in.
So let's dive in. I love the question about the bio. So the bio, well, it really speaks to, as I think all of us who are on this path, it speaks to like where we've been and where we feel called to contribute. And, this idea of wanting to transform the world by transforming yourself has been, I didn't used to say it like that pretty, but that's been my path. Like that path of like, there's something calling you. There's something that's like, there's something that yearns to be birthed from you. And, what I believe is that we all came with a journey, a purpose, and like a divine appointment. Like the universe gave you like this, beautiful job to do. And it is part of our journey. The most important part of our journey is to align with that, to find it, to like hold on to it. And I think now that I'm thinking about it, the universe wants us to go on the quest to find it so that we understand how much it matters. Because imagine if you were just like, you woke up and you were given like a folio, like a folder with, this is you, this is what you do, this is who you be.
This is what you're meant for.
This is what you're meant for. Then you're
Get
like,
to it.
Yeah. Right. But that's part of the quest. That's part of that like journey of becoming, so that then you can, you know, be on the path and go like, whoa.
The joy is in the discovery of it, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so the, you know, really believing that we get to be aligned with our strategic, you know, that part of us that's like in the form, the thing that makes us that capable rock star, like boss babe self, and then aligned with our divinity, our divine wisdom, our feminine wisdom, and really bringing those in alignment and congruency, and that in every aspect that makes you who you are. Because isn't it just incredible when you can uncover all the juicy nuggets and of all the aspects and facets of you, and show up like more like authentically, you know, and you and I have been on this very, very precious journey of going from like this is us sort of like playing behind the, like with a facade, playing behind the curtain, and like opening and opening and opening in many ways, like very vulnerably scary, like, okay, now I'm totally exposed. And yet the freedom that comes from that, that's what we're all like really yearning for. So this idea of, you know, I'm really passionate about supporting visionary women. And I think all women are born visionaries. I mean, I really believe that we have this like divine, like creatrix energy within us.
What she said. Ditto what she said. Yeah. No, I mean, you listen, you talk, and I'm like, cut it out. Like, get out of there. Like, that's why I'm saying, like, keep going, keep talking for me. Hey, will you just keep talking for me? Got it.
I will. You can just open your mouth. So we're all born creatrix, like that. We're visionaries. We create, like literally create, right? So tapping into that energy as a visionary woman who yearns to bring forth something into the world, like, you know, an idea, a way of showing up, a way to embody your freedom, and, you know, you're that sort of wild purpose of just existing in this, you know, path that we're on. And it's so exciting to, you know, to work with women, and whether it's my one-on-one clients or the audience, wherever the touch points are, and they all really have this sort of similar story. It's like, hey, I'd love to do this, build a community, empower other people, become a leader. You know, they're all there. It's all, or create something, or write a book, or share my voice on video. It's all very similar stories that all come from a place of, those are the gifts that are meant to come out and like make the world a better place. And so through, I always say my sort of 3 pillars of how I live and how I coach, it's mindset, magic, and momentum. So through like shifting your mindset, like falling in absolute love with your own sense of magic, and falling in love with the unknown, like the formless, and the momentum piece of like, okay, getting things in motion so that you can show yourself what's possible. Then, and through my journey, I've been on that like journey of, for years, having things in journals that never saw the light of day. And, you know, through tough moments in my life, like shifting and pivoting and making decisions that I was like, all right, well, what if I open myself to this? Or what if I went there? Or what if, so that's all shaped the path. And now I'm so freaking passionate about speaking from that space, because the freedom and the you know, there's nothing like sitting in your authentic self and knowing that you can mess up as much as you want, but it's never wrong. You know what I mean?
You can mess up as much as you want, and it's never wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll
imagine
something.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Just real quick, I share something, and this was a podcast episode I was listening to, and actually, one of my friends mentioned this, and then I listened to the podcast episode. But Russell Brand interviewed Brene Brown. This was back in June, and one of the things they said in sort of similar words is that when you're in the zone, you can't get it wrong. Like when you're in the zone, you can't say the wrong thing, which is a lot of what women like us, ambitious, driven, perfectionists, like, we want to get it right. There's that pressure because it's so tied to our worth, that piece of external validation.
Right.
And so that space of like, once you're in the zone and you trust that, it's all just goodness.
It is I think it's a big leap. I think one of the biggest leaps, is that right? Is that
like leap, like a leaping bunny?
Yeah, like a leap. One of the biggest jumps, leap. It's just occurring as an odd word for me right now. One of the biggest leaps, I want to say leapt, but that's not the right word. One of the biggest leaps that I've made is trusting myself. I'm not like, no joke. I think one of the hardest things I've ever had to do is to learn how to trust myself.
Mm-hmm.
And once I did, I like surrendered to that, because who's a control freak recovering? Like recovering perfectionism, control, got to get it right. Everything you just said, that how could I, like, looking for the answers out there in this next book, in this next course, in this next whatever, but all of it comes down to just actually discovering the truth of yourself. So it is an inward journey. Okay. So you talked a little bit earlier about, I've been through a lot. And a lot of what we're talking about in this series currently is this current situation that the world finds itself in. Maria Aleandra is part of my Sunday collective that we come on and we talk for an hour and a half on shifting and transforming and possibility and opportunity and what this actually really is providing us as possibility for growth. So I want you to talk about maybe some of the things in your life that were bathroom floor moments or failures or heartbreak or the breakdown, and what you learned, discovered, realized as you were breaking through that.
Yeah. So the one that keeps coming up that's very appropriate for this time is when I got laid off 2 years ago, the day that my husband and I had bought a house. No joke. That morning we had signed a contract for our first home. So excited. 1:30 p.m. HR calls me down. They were restructuring certain things. I go down and they were like, okay, so I've been working in this company for nearly 16 years, like from when I was in diapers. And
like, you're 18. How is that possible?
Right. I'm going to be 40 in a month.
Love you.
I love you. So I had been with this company for many, many years. I was, had risen up the ranks. I was the senior director of marketing and branding for a big television network. And I built my career. I built my persona. I had built my livelihood. I had built all of the things around this job, this career. And for years I felt the calling of that something more, that like, there's something more. I'm not fulfilling my potential, And so many times I had to like talk myself out of it, where I thought, well, maybe it's just meant to look different, or maybe it's this, or maybe it's that. So I know that story very well. And then I remember the few months prior to me being laid off, and the layoff came as a surprise. Again, my husband and I bought a house that morning, so not expecting it. And yet the few months leading up to it had been really, really challenging at work because of new bosses and things that were placed in the department that I was working in. And I remember having this feeling, like this very deep intuitive feeling, that at the time the company was moving from one physical headquarters into a brand new building. And I remember at one point telling my husband, I said, I don't know why, but I don't feel like I'm ever going to step foot in that new building that they're building. I said, I don't know why. This was like 2 months before the layoff happened. Wow. But I didn't have any tangible sort of, reason to suspect that would be me. They ended up, they were getting rid of my job. It wasn't performance based. It was just like, they were consolidating, whatever. That day, I mean, I know that feeling in the pit of your stomach of the rug has just been swept from underneath your feet. What does this mean? My world's been completely turned upside down. My husband was a teacher at the time, so my salary was really the driving force. I had all the benefits under me. I had, we had a 1.5-year-old, I think Skylar was at the time. So, it was one of these like, plus I'd spent years in that identity of that woman growing in that corporate space and rocking my job. Like I was really good at what I did. And so cut to like all of a sudden, what the heck? So talk about like a breakdown moment. And yet I remember thinking at that time, I was like, I don't know what this looks like now, but I know that there's a massive window that's opening somewhere in my life, massive door that I'm meant to walk through. And so I went through a journey of like accepting, like going through the process of what the heck. Like I remember waking up the next day, taking my son to his little school and being like, what now? Because I had a very like high pressure job. So all of a sudden it was like this pressure was released. I remember thinking like, wow, like it was unsettling. And also like even the colors on my life looked brighter for some reason. I was like, what is this feeling of like, there's something else. And so I held on to that. I held on to that feeling of there's something more. There's something more. My soul chose this for a reason. And collectively, as we parallel that to what we're experiencing, our soul chose this for a reason. Like that's the choice we get to make and where you get to live from. So, I went through a journey of like, at first, you know, thinking, oh, okay, well, one thing I knew for sure is I didn't want to go back to any kind of traditional job. I didn't want to have any sort of like clock in, clock out.
So that was clear.
That was clear.
Yeah.
And I even told my hubby, I said, Jules, one thing I know is that I'm not going to apply to a single sort of regular job. And I remember even looking a little bit to see, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
That I know for sure that's not it. Yeah. And so I took a little bit of time to understand, okay, where is this moving me forward? I remember going through lots of different iterations of what it could be. And the underlying sort of calling was always to support others in leveling up in some way. I always found a passion in that, even in my job. And so that's when I made the decision to say, okay, well, if you know, and I had been certified as a coach a few years prior through this amazing program. And I was basically using those skills at work, like my corporate job with my people that worked in my department and all that stuff. And then I said, okay, so this is the moment. This is the moment to take that leap into the unknown and try this thing out. And I mean, once I set off on that trajectory, it's been the most amazing, just like journey, full of its failures and down moments and like, what the heck do we do now moments. And yet there is this very clear vision, sort of like it's like a tractor beam,
right,
that keeps like pulling me forward.
Yeah.
My husband quit his teaching job last year so that we could, you know, work together and really realign how we wanted to live our lives as a family. So something else I really speak into is shifting paradigms, which is the massive opportunity that's available for us now as well. Understanding how to shift the paradigms of what we're the default kind of living that we're used to, the parameters and the guardrails that have been placed there that we've like grown up in, and really understanding like a brand new space of possibility. And that's a very unsettling feeling for the ego, because the ego doesn't like what's unknown. The ego wants to be safe and wants to like keep you in like, okay, this is what we do. This is who we are. And yet the soul is like, wait, like
there's a whole world out there. There's a whole world out there, and our expression is out there, and I can't live. I'm a soul. I don't live in a, So that experience to me, obviously what's happening now is unprecedented and completely different. And yet I can relate like directly with anybody out there who's having that experience of your world is being turned upside down, and you get to redefine yourself because you were like, it's like you were pushed out. It's kind of like a pimple. It's like, let's go down this analogy. Yeah.
It just wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So you get squeezed out like a pimple. And then like, there's a sense of relief, and there's a sense of like that really, you know, maybe it was there for a while, but it really isn't supposed to. So what do you do? What do you do now when life has just like, moved you someplace else? And that's where the power of choice comes in so strongly.
Okay, so there's something that's like I'm wanting to address, because there are a lot of us are really comfortable and don't even wouldn't even say, well, what do you mean there's something out there? Like, well, what do you mean there's more? And so this sort of situation is like the most uncomfortable for a big majority of people. Like, no, this known thing that I've developed is how I want to live my life. And I can't even see possibility. What would you say to someone who's like, I don't even want to say like, I don't even know what you're talking about, but like, because I know you and you know me, and I know the kind of work that you do, which really is like higher consciousness, like really elevating the consciousness of humanity. Like if we really want to talk about it, it's really like connecting to your purpose, connecting to your souls, all of the stuff that you're here for, like on a spiritual level. On a spiritual level, we're all meant for the greatest expression of ourselves. Okay. In physical form. That's why we're here. If you don't agree, stop watching. Because really, that's what's happening. Okay. If you don't agree,
and we love you.
This is not the right show for you. This is not the right conversation.
I love that.
And I think there is that, I believe, like what you said earlier, I believe women really are designed for this. I really believe every single human being on the planet has this, knows this, it's there. And there may be a degree to which we're connected to it, we listen to it, or like you said, no, that nudge, that pull, that calling. Now, let me just like, this is really good. I really got it good. I got a great job. I got the benefits. I got the 401k, and that is an alluring. It's alluring to just want to stay here. What would you say? Like how? Like, because I haven't asked this question of anyone that I've interviewed so far, but it just came to me while we're chatting. What do you think really is going to happen with the paradigm? Because you said paradigm, and right now, do you, like, I believe that the paradigm is shifting, and that you're either on the new paradigm or you're not. Like, what are your thoughts about like what's occurring right now, and what people like? What's the opportunity for people?
Yeah. Well, first I'll address that idea of when you're in a place that's safe. And again, I'll go back to my own experience of knowing I was meant for more. And yet I did not make that choice myself to get out of the job that was paying well, had the 401k, had the benefits. I had that. Why? Because there's that. And also, oh my gosh, if I start doing something new, that's like people are going to look at me like I've gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Like there's a piece of
rationality
you get. Yeah. And it's like, whenever you step off into shift something very powerfully in your life, we get to mourn like that life before. We might lose some people along the way. We will absolutely ruffle some feathers inadvertently that, where people don't understand why we're making certain choices.
Yeah. And
getting more and more comfortable with that experience, I think, is really valuable as an evolutionary kind of like marker. Like I remember having a conversation a couple of years ago with my husband where I said, I believe that as human beings, like our goal is to move evolution forward by taking big risks. Because I said, if you project into the future, like, okay, a few generations down the line, when our great-great-great-grandkids are colonizing new planets, the ones that decide to make those choices and to leave are going to be the ones that are willing to take risks. So it was like, what do we want to model for our children that they get model for their children, and they want to model for their children? So as him and I were starting to have conversations around how comfortable are we with taking risks, which I was much more comfortable at a certain point than he was. So I got to like really like understand his point and move him into a space of possibility with me, where then he was like, okay, I may not totally see it, but I trust that you trust yourself enough to know where we're going. And now our dynamic has changed completely because of it. So it's a process where you get to like find your way into this great new unknown and really chart a course that hasn't been covered before. You can either walk on the well-worn path, or you can create something that's never been created. And because you're you and you're unique and you've never existed before and you'll never exist again in this, you know, configuration that you are right now, that your path will by default be completely unique. There's no getting around that. It's just, you know, so then as we talk about what I believe, and this is like, I believe that.
Drop it, girl. Drop it here. I believe. I love the statements that start with I believe.
I believe everything is going to change. I believe it's going to take like 7 years. Like what I
now?
sort of, yes.
Okay.
Like I believe that we are going to be going through a period of, from what I've sort of like tapped into is, and again, this is just my own like experience of what comes through, is 7 years of like contraction and expansion to really prepare what's next in a more powerful way. Now, I don't think it's going to take that long for us to see massive shifts, but I think that the sort of there's something that's going to happen in the 7 year period that I feel is going to really, really elevate the consciousness of humanity to like a level that we can't fathom right now. And that's the thing about shifting paradigms is, I always say your brain is like a computer that processes information that already exists. You input and you output, you input and you output. Your intuition, your divinity, you're tapping into the formless is where all the new information comes in.
Pure creativity.
So, right. It's pure. And so when that comes through, it can be scary because you don't know what to do with it, because your brain knows how to work. It's like a computer that knows how to work with what's here. Like, I know that it's like a puzzle. It's like, oh, there's these certain amount of pieces and they go this certain way and they create this certain picture. It's what we've been taught. Now, in the world of true consciousness and energy, there's no puzzle. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no rules. There's no rules. Everything is just, you know. So I really, really do believe that the changes we're experiencing now are going to affect government in a massive way, are going to affect our financial system in a massive way. Schools are going to change completely the way they function, right? I believe that it's going to usher in an era of, and you can't go through change without discomfort. You cannot go through any kind of change, and some people are ready and excited for it, and some people are gonna totally resist, right? Like some of us, let's be honest, it's like, while we we've been waiting, while we get we get the pain, we get what's happening. It's not to minimize it, because I always feel like we get to like qualify that, and that's probably just me, my ego. It's like qualifying the fact that I'm not diminishing that what's happening is really effing like challenging. Okay, really fucking challenging. This is that kind of show.
It is that kind of show.
And my soul is excited. Like there's a very deep part of me that from the moment this whole thing set off, I have not been in a state of fear. I have been in a state of trust. I have been in a state of, and I'm even like, where does that come from?
Me too.
So grounded and on purpose, and sort of, and again, I don't want to minimize the challenges that people are experiencing, because they are real. But what I know is that because I've been on this path of stretching myself and stretching myself, I now probably have more of a capacity, like my plate, I guess, is wider to fill in more of the stuff that other people might find more constricting, is how I can understand it. And it's not like, it's nothing better or worse. It just is because of how we've intentionally expanded our capacity for what we can receive, I guess. Right. And so I'm really, really open. I'm not afraid. Like I even look at sort of worst case scenario, and it doesn't rattle me. And I want to say I'm being extremely conscious. I have husband, son, dog. We've played this quarantine game like by the book. I call it the community playground. Everybody gets to play safe. We have been that, like, we've taken it very seriously. We've been very responsible. So I'm also very much in the like grounded, like, this is what we get to do. And I have not felt any kind of like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And I'm sometimes like, where does that come from?
I can't even tell you how much I relate. There are moments where, clients have stopped and money is not coming in the way it used to. And, I've actually said to some of our mutual friends, am I in denial? Am I delusional about this? I'm like, this doesn't feel like denial. It feels like a knowing, an intuitive knowing, a spiritual knowing, a knowing from source. And not even like, you're going to be fine. Like, get ready for anything that you ever dreamed possible. It's coming. Like, I don't know. It's not coming from here. It's not coming from any sort of like context or knowingness. It's coming from.
So good.
And it's amazing. So good. And like you said, qualifying. It's not like people have gotten banned from Facebook for being like, I love the corona. Like, I love this. I love it. I don't love the fact that people are sick and that they're dying and that people are scared. No, but I do love that we've come home. And I don't mean that just like in the physical dwelling, the home. I mean, come home to yourself. Like, there is no greater opportunity that I see people have than this one right here, to actually start asking questions that we normally don't ask until the carpet gets pulled out from under us. We lose the job, we lose our health, we lose a spouse, some sort of something that's like a smack upside the head.
And that's the thing. Something's got to rattle you. Like, something's got to smack you in the head. Because as we know, the times when you've leveled up in your life, like massively, it's when you go through a really heavy experience that where the challenge then like crafts your soul into its next evolution. So we know, like, think about everybody who's watching, like, a personal experience where you've just been like demolished, a death, a breakup. Oh my gosh.
Job loss.
I mean, all of those things. And knowing that on the other side, there was this emergence of this new level of how you get to play in the world. And so this is what's happening at a massive level, is that smack in the head, like complete humanity. Upside down wake up call. And the thing is that, again, we go into choice. Like, it doesn't even, it's like, the great thing about choosing from a place of inner power is it does not matter what's happening outside. It doesn't matter why it happened, who caused it, who didn't cause it, what it means, what it doesn't mean. What matters is how you interact with and how you respond to everything that's happening. And viewing it from that space of choice and that space of, how do I get to show up in this moment, and then this moment, and then this moment, and then this moment. And so we don't even have to get into a conversation of like, well, what it doesn't ultimately, big picture, it doesn't matter.
No.
Big picture, it doesn't matter.
I think what's so great about, and what you're saying, what I'm hearing you say is what human beings typically do. What we typically do is when something changes or shifts, we kind of do this. We look back and we're like, wait a minute. This right here, I want to go back to that, because that I know that is safe. That is known because it's comfortable, because it's known. I know the rules. I know how to win. I know how to all of it. And here we are rules have changed. That's no longer here. And the question that has been coming up, the question that comes up for me that empowers the fuck out of me is, now what? And that's really it. I mean, that's really it. Is now what? And honestly, this is the question that precipitated, that birthed the Sunday, the Rise Up Leaders group. It was like, okay, here's where we find ourselves, people. Like, almost like this humanity huddle. Like, okay, guys, so here's what's going on right now. We got this. Now what? Right? If everything were gone, and I've been saying this, like, if everything were gone, if your financials, all your money left, and your house left, and, and I'm not going to play this out, but like, you're here, your family's safe, everyone's safe. But if every construct that you know and are comfortable with and have experience with, if it went away, how would you respond? And that's exactly what you said. Your inner power, regardless of circumstance, is how you respond to the circumstance.
Yep.
So in that moment where rug was pulled out, lost the job, you were like, here's what I think. One of the reasons why I was so happy about this thing was I went like this. I was like, oh, thank God. Please just give me a second here.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like,
yeah.
As an entrepreneur, I have 7,000 decisions I could make in a day. Right? I should do this. I should do that. I could do this. I got to do that. That's got to be done. Like it's, and I choose it. I choose it all day long. And at the same time, it's like, it's a lot of shit. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, there are times that I'm just like, where's the pause button? And again, wouldn't change it for the world. And at the same time, when this happened, I was like, okay, permission to pause. And I have to tell you something. I was creating my program for 2020. I was so fucking excited for 2020. I couldn't even stand it. I know. I'm like, I'm turning 50. It's going to be like, it's like it for me growing up as a kid, 2020 was like this, like the Jetsons, like spacesuits thing. And I'm like, oh my God, we're here. And I'm excited because I've grown, I've taken myself on and I've grown into my spiritual side. Yeah. And so I'm excited about it. And I created this program and I named it Permission to Pause. I named it Permission to Pause back in November. And a friend of mine who does copy and she does copywriting, she was like, well, what does that mean? Like, what? I know why that would be important, why it would be important for us to be actually like, just stop for a minute, just stop and actually reconnect, reassess, redefine. Like if everything went away, what would you put back in? What would you choose to put back in? What people, what experiences, would you spend your time? Like, guys, if nothing else, that's what this is.
Yes. Like what really matters, what you're prioritizing. We're being, encouraged, I will say, to like at a collective level, be so mindful of our resources, of our health, of our surroundings, of other people.
Yeah.
That pause. And when you say permission to pause, again, I go back to, because from that place you can choose.
Right.
It's like from that place you can go, oh, like what does this even look like? Yeah. Like imagine you go. You can't even see the surroundings, which is that unconscious, like hamster wheel default kind of drifty living that pretty much everybody is in. And when you and you and I have consciously chosen to like, okay, like step out from above from it and go, wait a minute, there's something else here. And so we can see the expanse because we're like outside of that mainstream of like, when you stop, you can look around and go, oh, okay. This is my surroundings. This is how I feel. This is how I impact other people. This is how it just is like, it's beautiful. And I love the fact that you named it that last year.
Like we all know.
There's so many things that I'm like the little crumbs that like, I know from my own experience, I'm like, oh shit. Like, it's not like, I know what's going to happen, but you leave these little crumbs that you look back and you're like, damn.
Someone called them, and I want to say it was Christina Miglino, soul crumbs. Soul crumbs. Right?
Yes.
She was like, it's soul crumbs. They're just leaving little, like, trust me. And when you, and I'm learning this, like, and I'm actually not like, for me, learning has up until now seemed to be very slow. And thank the Lord, I'm on this like accelerated path now. Cause I'm like, yep, got it. Like when I slow down, I speed up. I've never understood it until now. I've never understood the power of like stopping for a minute, just stopping for a minute and just being like, well, what do I think about that? So think about like the gift that this is.
Yes.
So, oh, wow. Look what time it is. I could keep going forever. I was like, oh, it's like 12:30. It's like 12:45. It's all good. Okay. So you know what, here's the funny thing. You actually, I believe you've already answered this question, but I ask I ask this question, of all my people who come on the show. What is the meaning of life?
Wow. So easy question to answer.
Yeah.
The meaning of life. The meaning of life is, it's like an I don't know, like a unraveling, unbecoming to become. You know, what came to mind there is sort of like pit stop, which sounds kind of weird, but it's almost like it's this space to understand yourself a little bit better as you continue on in your journey, like big picture. And it's adventure and curiosity and just like, yeah.
So I heard what you said that resonated, that I actually got what you meant, was unbecoming in order to become. And what that means is letting go of what I hear you say is letting go of the constructs that we've either unconsciously agreed to or consciously said, no, this is really important to me. But it's detachment. It's allowing ourselves to slough off. And I think it was Judith who talks about our masks, you know, like the roles and the masks that we wear and the persona that we put out into the world to unbecome in order to actually be or become.
And that takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage.
A lot of courage.
One thing I wanted to mention, sort of like a tangent, but related, is I wanted to speak into the fact that today is Good Friday. And the reason I want to bring it up is because when I realized yesterday, and this is part of the sort of a personal paradigm shift story, is I grew up Catholic, and Good Friday is a day when it's quiet, you don't play music, you don't there's no joy. Just very you know. And that's what my mom learned from her mom. And my mom and her mom are very lit up. They were just going with the path, because they're not from this earth either, just like me. So I'm now as I look at the soul quotes, I'm
together. Yeah.
I'm really, you guys, you bought into this? So the reason why I bring it up is because I was like, oh wow, what might other people think about the fact that I'm creating this on a day that's meant to be very holy and sacred to those,
believers,
the Catholic community, to the believers. Yeah. And I was like, time out. Again, massive paradigm shift of when you are birthing joy, especially on a day like today, whatever you believe in, Jesus was one of the ultimate soul, wit, and wisdom dudes. And what he did is he made a choice for a greater consciousness. So why not celebrate? You know what I mean? And I wanted to say it because for no other reason that it felt important for me as a moment of a pivot point, because for a split second, I thought about saying, oh, Kristen, maybe we should reschedule. And my fear was, what will other people think?
Yeah.
When I share this, when I promote this, are they going to look at me like, what is she doing?
Yeah.
And I'm that's not what I'm up to. That's so.
And what a great example of an old paradigm, because this is
exactly.
And guess what? Those old paradigms, they never go away. They're always right there. Are you sure you should be doing that? This is where you should be. It's right here. It's in this box, in this context. Yes. And girl, you got another, life is occurring, all of the magic of who we really are happens outside of these constructs.
Yes. So it's those little moments, but again, it's a choice point of, okay, well, am I making my decision from vision or from circumstance? Okay, so where do I get to go, and how do I get to show up, regardless of what, there's a piece of respect, and then there's a piece of not getting caught in a story that,
shitting on yourself.
Yeah.
And people, and listen, for those of you watching, listening to this conversation, I'm sure I can hear it. Yeah, but what about this? Like,
yeah,
but but I'm Jewish, or but I'm Catholic. But I was born, born and raised this, right? Like, so we are very attached to, attached to our constructs.
Thank you.
And it's just, it really is just the fact of being able to step up and look at the construct, like actually know that you're in one.
Homework for everybody. Look at your constructs. Yes. Make a list of your constructs, people.
Yeah. And listen, if you don't know what they are, find someone in your life who knows you. They have the list. Literally, they don't even have to, they can be like, you're this, you're this, you're this, you're this, you're this. Right?
Yeah.
Because it isn't as obvious to us what our limitations are like. Some of them are just unconscious. They're just like, they're unconscious. So ask someone close to you, because they know.
And anytime you hit a, like you get, I call it like an electrified fence, where you like hit your comfort zone. You're like the edge of your comfort zone, and you get zapped, and it's like, ooh, that hurts. Yeah. But then you're like, wait a minute. But what I'm doing is I'm actually expanding my comfort zone. So be ready for that, for the zap.
Sting.
And know that when you expand it, there's just more room for you to roam and play and do your thing.
Life is a creation, people.
Yes.
Life is a creation. Okay. Let's talk about your free gift. What are you offering?
Yes. So I have this really, really beautiful, it's a subconscious audio activation meditation that I recorded actually at the beginning of the year. And I listened to it again recently, and I was like, wow,
I'm good.
I was like, exactly.
I love it.
I was like, who recorded that shit?
I did.
It's very good. It's really, really good. And it's very appropriate. It's the kind of thing that you can either like meditate, eyes closed, or in the morning when you're like getting stuff around, like whatever, just to prime your mind to understand that this is your time, that this is, it's like that inspiration and grounding into what's possible when you trust yourself. So I'm excited to share that, because I think it's just 8 minutes. It's delicious, and I think it's going to be very supportive. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I can't wait to try some of that delicious.
You'll be like, I know her.
I will again be like, I know her. Thank you. Thank you so much. So in order to get Maria Aleandra's, are you calling it anything? What are you?
It's like a subconscious activation. That's a fancy name. It's basically like an 8-minute audio meditation.
I love it. Okay. In order for you to get that, go to soulwitandwisdom.com, and you will see you'll actually see, I'll post the recording of this interview, and you'll see her website and also her free gift. Maria Aleandra, thank you so much. I love you forever. I love you forever. Thank you for being on this. You know what, here, I feel like you're a gift in my life. You were given to me. Just by knowing you. Yes. And that just the fact that we are so aligned on I look at you and I'm like, yes, girl. And you're talking, I'm like, yes, like you're in here. Yeah. And I appreciate you. I love you. I honor and I respect you.
I love you. Ditto, ditto, ditto.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invite.
Yes, you're welcome. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody. Love you.
Bye.